Welcome to the Leading Owls podcast, brought to you by Rice University's Door Institute for New Leaders. Each week, we bring you inspiring stories and practical tips from successful student leaders, faculty, and staff, along with leadership experts and coaches that will help guide you in your own leadership journey. Today, we're thrilled to have America joining us, a true powerhouse of leadership and service at Rice University. America wears many hats. She's the Owl Access Student Director, helping to ensure inclusivity and access for all students. As the Beer Bike Campus Coordinator, she's involved in one of Rice's most beloved traditions. She's also the co-president of the Teacher Club, which supports future educators. In this episode, we'll dive into what makes America stay so involved, her favorite moments as a leader on campus, and the lessons she's learned along the way. Whether you're a student leader yourself or simply looking for inspiration, you won't want to miss this conversation. Please welcome America. Hi, America. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you. Happy to be here.
Can you share what motivated you to get so deeply involved in campus activities at Rice?
So for me, it was really a long-term transition to want to get involved at Rice at all. As a freshman and even a sophomore, I was terrified of it. But something you hear at Rice a lot is like culture of care. Introspectively, I was like, how can I contribute to that? So then that kind of motivated me to get involved. I would say that was like a big root of my motivation. And then as I became more involved, I noticed I just really liked the collaboration that was present at Rice and just wanted to contribute more to that. And a lot of my experience is very niche groups at Rice that may not have support. So just working to advance that, especially in these kind of groups, was really important to me. And I felt very supported with all the admin and staff at Rice that really kept pushing me to keep working.
I think that's so nice for people to hear because a lot of people just come into Rice and they just get involved right away. And then some people are too nervous and then they feel like maybe they waited too late. So it's nice for them to hear that it's okay to start slow. What do you consider your most significant leadership challenge while you've been at Rice? And how did you overcome it?
I think I identified two main challenges. My first one was that I'm much more introverted than extroverted. And I think, especially in high school, a lot of times leadership looks like an extroverted individual being at the forefront of a group or at the front of a classroom or things like that. But just through different explorations, I learned that you don't really have to be extroverted to be a leader. Everyone has their own leadership techniques. And with the programs that Doer does, that kind of helped me realize it a little bit. And then just having conversations with professors and then different staff members at Rice, where they really got to know me on a personal level and they were willing to offer me opportunities because they kind of got that personal connection as opposed to, being the loudest in the room. That really helped. And then the other aspect was, I know how, especially my sophomore and junior years, I had a lot of non-academic stress going on, which really impeded how much I can contribute to certain responsibilities or leadership opportunities. But one way I really navigated that was being open. I'm a very open person. I'm very introverted, but I will tell you anything if you ask me. So I was just open with the people around me and they kind of guided me through that because other people had more experience than I do. So I'm very open to their feedback and how they would manage certain situations and then integrating that in my own special way because I don't just want to copy what someone else would do.
I loved how you talked about how in high school it's very extrovert focused. I hadn't actually heard that said that way by other students, but that's so true. It seems like a lot of the times that's the experience is when you're in high school, it's always like the loudest or the people who are the most extroverted. And those introverts in college, they get the chance to shine. And I think that's really cool. So you are an Owl Access student, or is there only one? Are you the Owl Access student director?
Yeah, there's only one. And then, so I was the one for 2 years when the program started, and then now there's two.
That's awesome. What has been your most rewarding experience in this role?
Owl Access is targeted at first-gen low-income students coming into Rice since it's like their first engagement with like private institution and just higher education overall. So the most rewarding part for me was just seeing myself in these students, but knowing that they have the support that I didn't have 3-4 years ago, because I see them now and I even talk to them and they're so comfortable on campus, which is really cool to see. I was a terrified little freshman. I did not know what I was doing, but they're doing so many things. And I like seeing how they're really, truly taking advantage of the Rice experience, which recently it's hit me. I always knew this, but being a senior now, it's really hit me how much of a privilege it is to be at Rice. just even doing this is a very privileged thing. So I'm so glad people are using the resources this program provided them and taking full advantage of it. It's really good to see.
How do you ensure that All Access meets the needs of students effectively?
That has been really the forefront of what we've been doing for the past 2 years, getting this program together. So 2 years ago was the first time it happened, and we were really just working off opinions of the current student body and what they would have liked to see when they were incoming freshmen. So that was the foundation. And then after the first iteration of the program, I really focus on getting a lot of the student perspective, like the participant perspective, because they're the ones that experienced it. I already knew more things about college and I was putting my own knowledge into the program. But of course, I had to be realistic. I don't know everything. So I was very open to feedback from both people that helped with the program and that participated in it. And I have to say, I think year 2 of the program was so much better. We got way more positive feedback from participants. So I think just something really important is keeping that communication streamlined. And I kind of like doing that through my style of leadership. I'm much more of a casual leader than like, oh, here's what you have to do. No, here. I think that works for different settings. But if I really want someone to trust me, especially with the program that's introducing them to college, they need to feel comfortable coming to me and telling me, even if it's something that I didn't like, just being open with that feedback.
So moving on to beer bike, you are the first beer bike leader that I'm interviewing. So I'm pretty excited because it's such a cool tradition, so unique and just loved by all the campus, all the alumni. What's it like to coordinate such a large scale event?
So I'm fortunate enough to not be doing it alone. So we do have a system with like another co-chair and then like staff advisors. So with them, within that group, it's a lot of communication, which is a lot at times, especially being like a college student and dealing with a lot of things. But I think it's helped me realize how important it is to be effective in your communication. And just being effective in beer bike overall is really important because you're communicating to the 11 different colleges and then to staff and then different offices. But something that really has helped coordinate this is celebrating and working off of last year's successes. So last year, the people that were in charge, the beer bike coordinators, did a wonderful job. And I think it's great that we have that foundation on it and we feel really supported by that. So my co-chair and I are really just building off of that and kind of highlighting key details that we want to work on. One thing we're really focusing on this year is over communication because things get lost in emails and meetings. So I think based off of last year, we have a very good foundation that's made our job way easier this year, but still kind of tricky. But we do have support from people, which is really great.
What strategies do you use to bring students together and ensure the event runs smoothly?
Yeah, so I would say over communication is really a big thing we've done. But with that, I've also noticed we have to keep beer bike more relevant to like what trends are going on, what is the student body more focused on. So for example, we have a small committee looking at biker eligibility for like LGBTQ individuals, non-binary, trans. So that's really a hot topic for students. So making sure we're engaging with those sort of things gives the student body more respect for a tradition like beer bike and making sure it's being kept up with the times and not just like, oh, it's a tradition from a long time ago and just kind of doing that. So getting their feedback and actually showing that we're incorporating it has been really good and gaining that kind of support from people, even though there's like various opinions.
What is one goal you have for this year's beer bike?
The beer bike committee has been working on figuring out ways to make the whole process faster and more seamless. I know last year we had a little bit of a delay on results just based off circumstances, but we are looking at ways to implement both feedback that we got and research from our own experience to get like not day of results. That is a long-term goal, but we know that's not feasible for this year. And then just working to get like faster results, maybe weeks time. But that is something we've been trying to do for this year.
I know everybody's anxious for their bragging rights, but yeah, results is always a challenge for any sport to get. What is your favorite part of beer bike?
I really like seeing everybody come together at Beer Bike. I think Rice does a great job at having their different offices host a lot of things. But Beer Bike really, since it's outdoors, it really has a capacity to hold all the student body. And I know I helped last year as one of the area coordinators, and seeing all the bleachers packed with no space for people was crazy. Like, I can't recall another event that's like that. So I think it's really cool to see people get spirited during this time, even when you might not engage with your residential college as much. It's really just a time to celebrate people together, which I think is really nice to see.
What advice would you give to Rice first years who are going to their first beer bike?
Hydrate because it's going to be hot. So we do push that a lot. But another one is also be more present. I know I, as a freshman, had a lot of anxiety built up in myself with things like beer bike or whatever, but everyone's there to have fun. So just know that everyone's there to do the same thing. So just enjoy yourself. Even if you don't know the people around you, they're all willing to lend a hand. It's culture of care to its peak at beer bike. So I really like that.
What inspired you to co-lead the teacher club, and what initiatives are you most proud of for that leadership role?
So a lot of the things I've done pre-college and then just in my outside of school time has to deal with education and different schools around Houston. So education has always been around me. Even my sister's a teacher, but I took the class and the professor talked to me about this club and I thought it was interesting and I kind of fell into it because education is the reason I am where I am, thankfully. And one of the things we did last month, it was go to a local elementary school and just kind of engage with students and just read with them or do whatever they want. I know when we went, I somehow got the rowdiest group of fourth grade boys, but after talking with them, they got so calm, which I thought was really cool. Like, oh, actually engaging with you calmed your energy down, which was really cool to see. But I think that's something I like that we've done because it was really like a student-led initiative. Our sponsor was there supporting, but it was really like, oh, what do you want this to be? But we're also working on different things like a donation drive for this winter and then just engaging with other schools around.
How do you see the teacher club shaping the future of education for Rice students and beyond?
I think it's really like an individual perspective on education. I know ever since I worked or engaged with local schools, my view on the support that students should get in these kind of public education systems has really changed. So I think it's really cool to see that because that's something that's always on my mind whenever I'm like, oh, what am I going to do next? And kind of things like that. But generally, I think people, when I talk to them about, oh, do you want to engage with this teacher club? They really just like working with younger students. I also think it gives them a break from their own academic journey, which is really nice. But I think it just helps people ground themselves and understand like why you're doing the work you're doing, because I didn't know a lot of people that were interested in different education things at Rice. But then with this club, I'm noticing more and more people do, even though they're not pursuing like the education track at Rice, because teaching is hard.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so some people just want to delve into it a little bit. And I think this club gives them an opportunity to do that.
Now, with so many roles across campus, how do you balance your time and prioritize effectively?
This took a lot of work for me, especially my sophomore year. I definitely did not know what I was doing. Rice coursework alone is a lot to manage, but thankfully I use student success initiatives a lot at Rice. I met with them weekly for 2 years and they helped me work on my time management skills. That's definitely helped a lot. Google Calendar is always going to be my number one, like a lot of Rice students. But another thing that helps me is understanding myself and understanding working on what will make me happy in the moment. Because if I work on something that I'm not looking forward to at night, I will absolutely be miserable. But if I work on it in the morning, I know I'll be okay with it. So I think one advice I have for balancing things is really being in touch with how you feel about certain things. If you know you're not looking forward to it, put it where you're the best version of yourself because you're more likely to see it through. But that's something I really had to work on because a lot of things were overwhelming before, but now I can actually introspectively look, okay, what can I actually do instead of pushing myself? Yeah.
That's really good advice. Really, really good advice to know what works for you. What is next for you in leadership, do you think?
Post-grad, I'm actually going to be a teacher for 2 years. And that came from a lot of places. Like, my involvement with education has been very thorough throughout my college career. So I was like, okay, I do want to continue in this. But also, I feel like I've gathered a lot of knowledge about just life skills and then school skills that I want to give on to younger generations, which I think will be very beneficial because I'm not sure what school yet, but it's for lower income students that don't have as many resources, kind of similar to my background. But I think just providing them with my knowledge will be really useful and rewarding for myself. I'm actually doing middle school, which is the hardest age group, but that's kind of why I like it. And I know they're the ones that need the most support, especially now. So I really want to be there for them. So that's kind of the next boat I'm in. I know it's going to be a different type of leadership, but I think everything I've done has set me up for it.
That's so beautiful. Looking ahead to your life beyond the hedges, how do you plan to use the skills you've gained from all these leadership experiences in your future endeavors?
One of the things I really like about my Rice experience, especially outside of academics, because Rice is a very research-focused institution, and I think those are great skills to have, but extracurriculars and leadership opportunities work your soft skills, which I think is also a really good tool to have, especially now when a lot of people are just focused on their technical skills. So I think I will take all the soft skills I learned at Rice and just build supportive environments wherever I end up, especially if I want to work with kids. I do want to work with kids long term, so that's something I will keep with myself and just keep my kind of humanity, because that's really important in the kind of fields I want to approach. But yeah, I think all the skills I learned, no matter if I don't use them actively, are really rewarding. And I'm glad I even got an opportunity to do them at Rice because it's such a prestigious institution. But yeah.
I think this was an episode for all the introverts out there. And I think that you showed them that not only can you be a leader, but you can make an impact all over and in so many different capacities. I mean, you've done so much for All Access and for education and the teaching club and then Beer Bike, the event planning. So you've really done a little bit of everything all across Rice. And I think it's so exciting that you're sharing all that you learned today with us and for future generations when you go out to be a teacher.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, America. We really wish you good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for the Leading Owls podcast. We will be back next week with more leadership journeys and tips to share. New episodes release each Wednesday. For more information on the Door Institute for New Leaders and our free leader development programs for Rice students, please visit door.rice.edu.